Oh, I am an old navvy, I work on the line, and the last place I worked was Newcastle on Tyne. I'll tell me misfortune, it happened in fun. Oh, it happened one night with me navvy boat on. One night after supper I shaved off me beard, for to meet me fair Ellen I was well prepared. For to meet me fair Ellen I didn't hurry down, and I met her that night with me navvy boat on. I knocked on her window, my knock it was low. I knocked on her window, my knock she did know. She jumped out of bed saying, is that you, John? Happy Jesus, it's me with me navvy boat on. She opened the door and invited me in, saying, come up to the fire, love, and warm your skin. Well, the bedroom was opened and the blankets rolled down, so I jumped into bed with me navvy boat on. And all of that night, sure, we sported and played, never thinking of time as it soon passed away. Then she jumped out of bed crying, what have I done? Sure, the baby will be born with his navvy boat on. I consoled my loved one for talking so wild. You foolish young girl, sure you might never have a child. And for all that I done now, 'twas only in fun. And sure I'll run like hell with me navvy boat on. But very soon after I was summoned to court, for to pay for me sins like anyone ought. I put in bob a week now for all of my fun that I had that night with me navvy boat on. The other night the youngsters were going to a dance, so I said that we'd try and compare with the days of our youth when we done the same. So we sat there and we watched them prepare. There's no such thing now as asking permission to go to a dance. That isn't done any more. But I remember when we were young, we'd be asking and craving for 3 weeks before. And after listening to all the rules and regulations, we heard them again and again. And the last thing we were told when leaving the house was, the door will be bolted if you're not in here at 10. Now, it's 10 before they start to get ready. And then the rushing will start. By the time they're finished and ready to go, they'll have every room in the house pulled apart. One of the daughters came into the kitchen. She said, Mammy, what'll I do? Me hair wasn't washed since yesterday and the lads have used all the shampoo. She says, I'll soon tell you how I used to wash it, but I suppose you're too grand for that any more. We get a good lump of soap and a basin of water from the tub that was outside the door. And that time I can tell you we had reason to wash it. But things are different now. What would they do if they're milking with their hands and their head twice a day against the belly of a cow? Then one of the lads, he had this yoke, he called it an electric razor. He just stuck it into the wall. He had himself shaved in a minute and he used no water at all. And I remember the first time I shaved with a cutthroat razor. Well, there was blood all over the place, after shaving the heads of the pimples that were dotted all over me face. Then my father walked into the kitchen. 'Twas the first time I heard that man using an oath. He says, what in the Christ has come over you? Is there someone after cutting your throat? And then they started talking about this great band that was coming to play. Big Tom, I think they says was his name. He was known all over the country for his music and TV and radio fame. But when they told me how much he was charging, well, I nearly died with the fright. But they said that he was very cheap, at £2,000 for the night. 'Twas then I thought of the dances in our time, when we danced to the grand Irish tunes, with Paddy Curry playing the accordion and Miley McCabe on the spoons. For the jigs and the reels and the set dances, no better men could be found, and God knows they weren't hard on the money either, so they'd play all daylight for £1. I happened to be outside the door this evening when this long-haired gorilla drove into the yard. You'd swear it was on the Nace Road he was driving, or else he was chased by a yard. Well, he was surely doing 70 coming up to the door, and he'd jam on the brakes to pull up, with the elbow stuck out in the window, a real sure sign of a pup. But I can tell you in our time he wouldn't go near the yard. No one would dream of the like. You'd meet the girlfriend about a mile away from the house and put her up on the bar of the bike. And the next morning I thought I heard the cow calving in the field at the back of the house. So I got out of bed as quiet as I could and I crept down the stairs like a mouse. And when I opened the door and looked out in the yard, well, I never got such a surprise. There they were, the two of them in the car and kissing and cuddling right before me eyes. All you could see was the tops of their heads as they peeped at me standing in the hall, as much as to say it was none of me business, that I shouldn't be watching at all. I never went out to look at the poor cow, though in fairness I think that I should. I just turned on me heel and went up to the room and left the calf in the best way she could. And when I told the wife what was going on outside in the car, says I, isn't the country gone to an awful pitch? She says, isn't it nice to see them having their comfort? Sure, all we ever had for courting was the ditch. She says, to hear the likes of you talking, you think that you never done the like in your life. Will you forget what's going on outside in the car and get back into bed with your wife?